Hi, everybody. Welcome to Talks from Woodcreek. We have come to the end of our long adventures. We hope that all of you had wonderful holidays and Happy New Year. And we couldn't end this season without talking to Wil Wheaton, our
Hi.
final guest on Talks on Tales from Woodcreek. Um, I was so thrilled. Ed had pitched the idea of you coming in as our final guest because we wanted someone who had a little bit more experience within D&D for that one. We've been going with new
Yeah.
players, but
Uh-huh.
because we knew we were going to be asking you to play someone we had built up throughout the adventure, and there was going to be a bit more sort of story responsibility placed on your character.
Yeah.
We wanted to bring in someone who had a bit more experience. And when you brought up your name, I was like, do you think we could get him? Like, do you think he'd do it?
That's really
and
awesome.
And Ed was great. Ed is always really good because I get to that point and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't ask because they would never. He was like, let's just ask. And the fact that you said yes was so
I-
thrilling.
You know what? That's actually this is great for everybody listening who's ever
Yeah.
like worried about just going to the person, you've got a person that you know who does a thing,
Yeah.
and you're like, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to ask them. I don't want to do that.
I
Like
know.
maybe they'll say yes.
Yeah. And
I get
there's
at
also nothing wrong in getting a, oh no thanks, can't right now. Like that's the worst that can happen.
at least once a day. I open an email from someone who says, "Hey, I wanted to ask you if you would do this
Yeah.
thing." And it's
Yeah.
always something that I'm just like, I love that you asked me. And I
Yeah.
love that you're doing this.
Yeah.
And I have made a decision. I made a clear choice about halfway through last year that I'm going
Oh,
to say no to just about everything so
yeah.
that I can say yes to myself.
Yeah.
I said yes to some things that I was going to do for other people, and because they're fun and I was excited to
Yeah.
do them, forgetting that time is a fixed, constant resource,
Yep.
and that our bodies demand rest, and
Yes.
that our creative selves need to recharge,
Yes.
right?
So
And so I
desperately
was like, oh,
important.
I'm doing stuff for other people and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And when I want to do my thing, I've got nothing left.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very careful about what I say yes to. And I want to make sure that it's going to be satisfying for me, creatively fulfilling. And also, like, am I genuinely going to bring something cool to this?
Mm,
Like, why me and
mm.
not another
Right,
person?
right,
And it
right.
can't be because a lot of people follow you on social media. I don't care about that. Right. But
Unfortunately.
what you said is just like that makes me feel really good, like
Yeah.
that you and Ed believed in me, right, and thought that I could do that, and that like I would be a good add to your show.
Well, it's one of those
And
things too, where when you're like a fan of someone who does is also a peer, within the same
yeah,
space. And I know from experience what it's like to be asked to do something like this. And it's a shoestring budget. And on
yeah,
some level, you're doing it because you believe in that person and you want to support them. And so, if it was like, oh, I'm going to go to Will and I'm going to offer him, $100,000,
right.
that's different. But in this case, it's like, hey, will you come play with us? And we'll pay you what we can, but also we're just going to try and make it as fun an experience as we can. And I would fully understand if you said no. So I can't tell you how grateful and excited I am that it passed your muster.
Dude, it was a privilege and it was a pleasure. And you
Yeah.
and actually that reminds me, when we were doing
Yeah.
tabletop and Titan's
Yeah.
Grave, that's what
Yeah.
we had to do. I
Yeah.
had to go to everybody
When you're
that I
starting out.
wanted to be part of it and just say, listen, I don't have
Yeah.
anything really to give you other than the promise of an incredibly good time. Um, and like I believe very, very strongly in the idea that labor is entitled to that which it creates.
Yeah.
I am a strong labor advocate. I'm an incredible union advocate. I've
Yeah.
never crossed a picket line in my life. I
Yeah.
never will. I believe that artists are consistently undervalued,
Yes.
by people who could not do what we do if you gave them a script with clear direction and an IFB where all they had to do was mimic the lines. Like
Yeah.
they couldn't do any of it, right? And they're
Yeah.
like, you artists are blah, 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 blah,
Uh,
So when we were doing that, I really had to just say, listen, I get it, and
yeah.
no hard feelings. And like everybody said yes.
Mm.
I'm doing my podcast right now,
Yeah.
my short fiction audiobook podcast. And when I reach out to authors, I tell them I want to pay you like, a word rate, but I just can't. If
Yeah.
I did that, it's like it's the budget goes up so high that we can't do the show anymore.
Yeah.
And I'd rather do the show and, there's other stuff. There are other benefits to it, but like, I don't know. I want to tell your story. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And I've been really, really fortunate and like really grateful that every single author that responds, they're not like, give me more money. They're like, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that the rights are cool, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm not grabbing any rights, not doing anything like that. I think that there's a community of artists that we're all part of without regard to the nature of the art we create. Like when we who are actors and creators, when we run into musicians, right? And it's just like, how do you do what you do? Right. And they look at us and they're like, how do you do what you do? And then a third person comes up and they're like, hey, can we talk about art? Now the musician and the actor
Yeah.
are like, yeah. And we're
Absolutely.
all talking about the
Yeah.
same thing. I believe, I don't believe in anything supernatural, but that said, I believe that the idea of art, capital A art, chooses artists. That like when you're born, art goes, oh, I'm taking you. And right. And then you become an artist in your life. You're compelled
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
I think that is so common with all of us that do indie
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
We're not doing this for money and fame
Well, I
and
think,
career.
I mean, that's exactly the sort of point that came to me was like when a fellow artist asked me to do something that would be, less than my quote, or even less than what I would make, doing something just more professionally.
Yeah.
That's where I'm more willing to take the step back because I know not only am I going to have a good time and we're going to make something communally that's artistic and interesting, but I'm going to support your artistic journey because if you're starting here where you don't have that kind of money, that means this is a labor of love for you on a whole other level. And
There's
I
this
want
other
to
sense.
help bring you there. Yeah.
There's a little bit of paying it forward too. When
Yes. I
we make a
agree.
thing, someone who wants to make their thing sees the thing you
Yeah.
made, right? And they go,
Yeah.
I think I can do
Yeah.
that, right? Like there's just I don't know how many artists, I don't know how many indie creators are watching this, but like when you make things, you're inspiring people that you're never going to meet. And you might not even know about it. Like there's just this beautiful continuum of art building on top of art, building on top of art.
Well, and I
It's
love hearing that because I feel like with your history,
yeah,
so much of this actual play, what
yeah,
Woodcreek is, what any of these things does not exist without the seed that you plant so long
yeah.
ago now
I know.
with
I
tabletop.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I know. It feels so good. It's
Yeah.
the coolest thing.
You have
It
paid it
has so
forward.
outlived me.
You are like the Ponzi scheme the reverse Ponzi scheme where it
At the
started with
bottom,
you and
it's an
then just like,
inverted pyramid.
yeah, inverted pyramid of just like wealth of joy and enthusiasm that has just spread from that one pivotal moment that sort of showed us that you could make content and entertainment out of these games and these things that we love.
Thank
Um,
you.
of course. Oh my gosh. I mean, it was part of the reason why I think Ed suggested you and why I was so, starstruck at the idea of having you.
I
But
want to give a
before,
ton. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go finish.
I want to give a lot of credit and gratitude to Felicia Day,
Yes.
Sherry Bryant,
Yeah.
Kim Evie, and
Mm.
our director, Jen Arnold.
Yeah.
People who are paying very close attention will notice that these are all women. Tabletop is successful because of women. Men who are smart hire women and get the fuck out of the way because we know that we screw things up and women get shit
Oh,
done. I mean, it's just true. I'm not glazing you. It's absolutely true. I could not have done tabletop without the help of these amazing women. And it is important for everyone to remember that nobody does anything on their own.
yes. I think
Everyone
that's
has help all the time.
and you should have help. And it makes
You
things better. It
absolutely
makes
should.
things better
Yes.
when you have help. There is no there's no prize for being the martyr who does it all alone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The best things get done because you seek out people who are better than you at certain things or who are going to ask more of you or think something to bounce the ideas off. I mean, Woodcreek doesn't exist if Ed and I haven't, hooked up on other projects and then decided we're going to try this thing. So yeah, I could not agree with that more.
when when I was invited, what I took out of like, I sort of I'm doing 1,000 things, so I'm like, I'm gonna scan this email, and what I see is Deborah and Wall D&D live play, and I was like, oh, I'm in. That's a yes. I mean, I don't even need to see anything else.
You
And
didn't see the like, we're going to make you run through the woods version.
I didn't expect that, and it was really fun. That was so fun and so unexpected. It was just like, um that location was amazing. That
Amazing.
Pioneer Town place was so cool. And just like that feeling of anything can happen
Yeah.
here. And there's something really fun about role playing that allows us to like get out of our comfort zone
Mhm.
and imagine what we would do if we could do different things. Like in real life, dexterity is my dump stat. So like what would happen if like I could actually do acrobatic stuff?
Yeah.
I want to imagine that. What would
Yeah.
happen if I wasn't a
Yeah.
kind person?
Yeah.
What would happen if I were selfish?
Yeah.
Right? We explore all these different characters,
Yeah.
but we never get to find out like what will happen with us when like we have to bring our physical selves into the imaginary world that we
Yeah.
create. And when we were looking for the keys to open that box, a there have been a few moments in my life as a gamer, particularly an RPG gamer,
Yeah.
where something happens and it's like a whole bunch of different things all connect together, and I realize, oh wow, this is such a cool picture. I'm going to use this the next time I do a thing. And as we were doing that, there's a moment where I was like, I just want to roll on for help. And I
Yeah.
asked you for something. I don't remember what it was, and I rolled to see what it was. I astonishingly rolled well, which is common for me. Um, and it was like, okay, there's not that, it was essentially like that's a dead end
Yeah.
for you. It's like, okay, cool, let's go. The way Anjali was walking around looking at things low on the ground, being so excited that there were things for people who were
Yeah.
short,
Yeah.
like it just there was an experience of bringing together, like, hey, did you ever play True Dungeon at Gen Con?
I haven't. Obviously, I know of it. I think Ed has
Yeah.
done it a few times, but yes, I've heard that as a comp. Yeah, for what we're trying to do.
I played it a bunch of times, and a number of years ago, I just had the greatest experience of my life in True
Yeah.
Dungeon. It was a really great moment. Tabletop was really kind of like at its peak, and Titan's Grave was breaking, and it was the Gen Con where we brought Titan's Grave to
So
Gen
cool.
Con, and Green Ronin sold out of the Titan's Grave book, I
Wow.
think, on the first day. Like, I've just
Wow.
it was so
Yeah.
cool. It was just like all
Yeah.
sorts of really wonderful people were real excited. Like
Yeah.
our audience and our fellow gamers were just like, five gold party. I'm into this. And went to play True Dungeon. And we're going through it. And in True Dungeon, for people who don't know,
Mhm.
it's not a lot of role playing. It's mostly escape room style stuff. You're solving puzzles and things, but you have characters with attributes, and you do get to roll, and there's
Right.
combat and like that. It's fun. We get to the big bad, and it's the dragon. It's the
Yes.
big dragon. And I have a weapon called the Dragon Lance. And it's it's a special token, and on it says, if you can hit the dragon in the heart with the Dragon Lance, the dragon will die, right? It's I think it's like the only way that you could realistically
Cool.
slay the dragon and like
For sure.
win that
Sure.
dungeon, right? So the way that you fight is on kind of like one of those bar top sort of slider table
Right.
things,
Right. 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 Like air hockey, kind of
like air hockey.
shuffleboard,
Yeah,
shuffleboard,
yeah,
air hockey.
shuffleboard
Yeah.
is the word I'm thinking
Yeah.
of. I put the token in the slider, and I look at the dragon.
Yeah.
Can't remember what class I was. I was not a class that would normally be wielding a lance.
Okay.
But anyway, I was, and the
Yeah.
dragon's like gonna kill my party, and I was like, from hell's dark heart, I stab at thee, and I slide it, and I hit it. I crit the dragon in its heart, and the
On the
dragon,
weekend, your stuff is blowing up. I love
and
it.
the
Yeah.
dragon dies. The DMs in the room lose their minds. They're like, nobody's done this. No one has killed the dragon yet. And
Oh,
like
amazing.
the people from behind the curtains come out, and they're like, you killed the And
Yeah.
when you're fighting the enemies in that
Yeah.
in this entry dungeon,
Yeah.
the DMs in the room, there's different ones for each room. They're rolling big D20s.
Yeah.
This one was rolling a big red D20, and the DM walked over and gave it to me and said, "You get the
Wow.
dragon's heart."
Wow.
Is it in this room? I can't remember if I put it in this room or if it's in my game room. I think it's in my game room.
That's so
The
cool.
following year at True Dungeon,
Yeah.
there was a special rare token called
Oh.
Will's Dragon Heart. And it was like a +4 life or something like that. I
Yeah.
can't remember what it was. It was so cool. It was such a special, meaningful, exciting moment. And it was such a fun experience that like
Yeah.
kind of like got role playing up on its feet, but not in a way. I don't know. LARPing has always been way outside of my comfort zone. It feels really weird to me. And like, I feel like, I say this with love. I don't have a ponytail or own big slouchy pirate boots, so I'm not sure that I fit in a LARP.
Uh-huh.
Um, but that that True Dungeon experience kind of prepared me for Woodcreek.
Yeah. Well, I think in that,
And then when you turned into a dragon at the end, and I was like, it's all coming back.
it's here. It's coming back for you. But I think it's, what it is though, is that part of what we're trying to do with Woodcreek and all that is this idea of like, can each of us expand the definition of what these things are? So if LARPing up until this point within our collective consciousness is ponytails and pirate boots,
Yeah.
right? And you go, well, that's not really a space for me. Well, what if you made it, what if you did something else that was LARPish, but was a
Yeah.
space for you where it's rock band shirts and,
Yeah.
wallet chains, like maybe that's what LARPing can be. And like,
Yeah.
how do we start to expand these things so that more and more of us can play in more and more of these different spaces and bring new ideas and new stories. And right before we had talking, we were talking about play and the importance of
Yeah.
play, and especially as we get older, because so much of us lose that. We all play when we're children, and at some point, I don't know why,
We're told
we
we have to grow up.
we're told we're grown-ups and we have to stop playing.
Yeah.
And some of us, like you and I, are like, no, we're going to play forever. We're going to play for
Yeah.
a living, and that's how it's going to be. And I think other people do it with other things, whether that's video games or board games or sports. I think are other
Yeah.
ways to play. And
Yeah.
but I talking about the importance of play and why, as grown ass people here, we continue to play. And yes, I'm curious your philosophy on that as a champion of playing.
We have to give our bodies and our minds rest.
Mm.
And play is a form of rest for me.
Hmm.
Um, I don't, I was not allowed to play when I was a kid.
Hmm.
And I've talked to a lot of survivors who have shared similar experiences.
Yeah.
And as adults, we really lean into play because we didn't get it when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like I have I have a game room where my table lives. I have the same table that we used on tabletop, and I have
No way.
I have like a couple of hundred games in my room on my shelves, and I have friends over to play as often as we can. And I I I was born in 1972. I mean, I'm the dead center of video games in the 80s.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
10 years old right before video games crash. So I got to go through this moment when I'm a kid where time feels weird, where like games switch from black and white vector games like Asteroids
Mhm.
and really simple games like Galaxian, which even feels a little advanced because of all the colors on it, to games like Super Mario Brothers and Dragon's Lair and these really complicated things. So I built an arcade in my game room. I got a bunch of machines. I bought a bunch of the arcade 1-up machine
man.
and a couple of homemade emulator based arcade things, so that I finally have this place where I can go and I made like a late 70s, early 80s what I heard in the arcade playlist. So it's like the jukebox for the game room. And I go in there and I just I sit down at my game,
Yeah.
and it is when I'm playing Donkey Kong or Mr. Do,
Mhm.
um, the membrane that exists that separates the time when I was a child from the time that I am now is at
Mm.
its thinnest.
Mm.
I can reach through it a little bit and kind of
Mm.
touch the memories of that era, right? And when I'm doing it, I am playing, right? And
Yeah.
I'm playing for myself, right? I'm
Yeah.
just like, I am remembering my cousin had a Donkey Kong machine, like a machine, an arcade
Yeah.
machine
Yeah.
in 1981. He had a
Wow.
Donkey Kong that his
Wow.
dad bought him. And like we played it at his, I spent all my weekends with him
Yeah.
and my great aunt at their house.
Yeah.
And I grew up playing that machine. And when I go down and play Donkey Kong, I remember how loved I felt when I was in that
Yeah.
house, and
Yeah.
how much I loved being around them. And as adults, we have a lot of responsibilities, and we absolutely feel the weight of the world.
Mm.
And if we're parents, we have
Mhm.
incredible responsibilities to our children. And we have to make time to just give ourselves a little bit of a break from like our responsibilities.
Mm. Mm.
And it's not being lazy, and it's not being selfish, and it's not being childish. Playing doesn't make someone childish,
Yeah.
right?
It makes you
Like
childlike, I
yeah, which
feel.
is
It's
such,
that
I agree, and
that
it's so
innocence and that.
important.
Yeah. Oh, I
And
really love that.
a wonderful thing about role playing and role playing games, and not just the pen and paper ones that you and I grew up with,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I'm talking about I'm also referring to like those cool structured RPGs in a
Yeah.
box, right?
Absolutely.
Where like the box is your DM and you're working
Yeah.
to tell a story together, right? Um, it always comes down to we're telling a story together,
Yeah.
always. Even the most min-maxing power gamer who would rather be playing Warhammer because they love the miniatures so much
Yep.
still ends up telling a little bit of a story in
Yeah.
spite of themselves,
Yeah.
when we were little kids, we would just be like, okay, so I'm Mr. Spock,
Hmm.
and you're Chekhov, and
Yep.
the gym over there, the playground equipment is the Klingon mine trap. Let's go, and we just make it up,
Just go.
and then
I
just go
know.
do it.
I know.
Role playing kind of gives adults the ability to do that again,
I agree.
and
I
remember that play in our imaginations, right?
yes. Yes. And in a space that's non-judgmental, right? That like
Yeah,
there is no bad choice. I don't.
yeah,
It was never a moment as a kid. I mean, I'm rose-colored glassing glasses a
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit because of course they're like, no, that's a stupid. You don't do that. I have a blaster that blocks
sure,
the
of
like
course,
sure. There's
yeah,
all of that, but in
yeah,
general, it's not like, oh, that doesn't work structurally, or like
yeah,
your character would never do that. Like all
yeah,
that kind of BS that we put on it as professionals,
yeah,
which is helpful in certain structured storytelling. Within the role playing, within play as a child, it is that space and that freedom to just go with your gut, to just let trust your own instincts. And I find, because I do, probably like you, a lot of very structured make believe with my acting and my work
yeah,
and writing,
yeah,
I need that non-structured space. I
yeah,
need that space that says, really, just play, just play.
yeah.
And I think on some level, all play, and particularly make believe play, I think is practice for empathy. I think even when you're playing a villain, it's asking you to see the world through someone else's eyes. And that is a skill we all need to continue to exercise constantly. And so to me, that's the big win on role playing games, and even and really any game that asks you to kind of see the world through someone else's eyes for a while, and even you know the basic foundation of Dungeons and Dragons to me is to practice being a hero, right? It's to
Yeah,
go out and stop the bad guys and protect
yeah,
the innocent. And I'm like, I
yeah.
can't. The fact that there was like satanic panic, I'm like, about the game where you save the world, like
I just a few nights ago, I
Yeah.
watched a YouTube compilation of
Yeah.
local and national news reports
Wow.
that were related to the Satanic Panic,
Yeah.
and it's crazy. Like it's
It doesn't reflect the
the
game that we know.
well, and also it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense. It's just another moral panic.
Yeah.
And I wonder if one of the reasons our generation is very inoculated against that type
Mm,
of thinking, right? Like when Tipper Gore led the PMRC and
mm,
we were like, oh, wow, stickers on records, that's going to make a difference, right? Like, like we're so much of our generation is like, what? It's
yeah.
just like kind of how we are like, oh, really? Yeah, okay. Right. That like that satanic panic was just, it didn't reflect the reality of the game we played
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't play the game, you knew the kids that played
Yeah.
D&D. They weren't devil worshiping weirdos. They were nerds.
They were nerds.
They
They
were
were gentle nerds.
weird, shy
Yeah.
nerds, right? That's who
Yeah.
all of us were. It
Yeah.
was not the cool,
Yeah.
accessible thing it is now.
Yeah.
Like it was, nobody bragged about it. Like you were never going to see any of the people we thought were cool on TV playing that game, right?
Mm.
I wonder if one of the reasons that we are so just impenetrable when it comes to whatever the modern panic of the moment
Mm.
is that we lived through that and we came of age through it and we know what bullshit it was.
Mm. Mm.
And I just wonder if like, now there's tons of people playing D&D who may have heard about it. And I'm like, listen, it would be really cool, 20 something, if you would sort of look at this and realize like, moral panics are garbage. Don't let them make
Or
decisions.
just, maybe actually engage with the thing and
Yeah.
talk to the people who do it and, find out on a much more first person basis what something is before we judge that book by its cover kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Do you have an edition of D&D that you like more than another?
I mean,
If someone lays them all out in front of you and you're like, I'm going to play that one.
So I started late for our generation. I started in my 20s. So it was fourth edition. I started in fourth edition, which I know is like the least favorite of all the people. But I kind of really like fourth edition. Now, I played the tail end of that. Fifth is going to be my favorite. I think to me, it's the most flexible. Yeah. I'm not a lore person, so it's not important to me like the history of the Forgotten Realms or these kinds of things. I want the mechanics that I can, reflavor to whatever I want. So that's what Woodcreek is. It's more in my style. So 5e is good for me because it is flexible. I can make it whatever I want it to be, but I still have that basis of mechanics that are familiar and intuitive.
Did you learn to DM from the 4e DM guide?
No, I started playing in 4e, and I believe I started running games in 5e.
In 5?
Yeah.
I ask because I'm not a fan of 4e. I respect it, and no, I'm not casting any shade at you at all.
No, I know.
I 100% get it.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not a fan of that edition, I think it has one of the very best "Here's how to be a DM" sections of any rule book in any system. And I was going to say earlier that like one of the reasons it was so easy to say yes when Ed asked is that like I've watched you DM a lot and you're a great DM.
Oh, thanks.
Like, and I've played with people who are, like the Michael Jordans of DMs, and you're on that list for sure.
Oh, thanks so much. Well,
so I was like, oh, I wonder if you picked up some tips from that.
Maybe. No, I mean, the only thing from 4E that I kind of carry over is I do like minions. I think that's really helpful.
It's a great idea. Like, do you identify them for the players or do you make them figure it out?
Depends on how the combat's supposed to go, right? Like there were a couple of things in Woodcreek where I identified it earlier, but that's because it was kind of a LARPing situation. But no, generally I'm just like, there's 20 things coming at you, go for it. And then they find out that every time they hit, it just goes down. But like
that's more satisfying for me as a player.
In a way,
like, I don't want to know that it's a minion and like, okay, so I can, so I can.
Well, I don't tell my players anything about. I mean, I want them to figure it out in real time, right? So I don't say anything when things show up. I'm just like, it's mean and growls at you and has I don't
Yeah.
know, a little spear.
When
That's
my
all they
kids
get.
were little and I was teaching them D&D and I
Yeah.
was running games for them when they were in middle school, what I would get from them more often than not was that my descriptions were too gross. Like my descriptions of monsters and they're like oozing, dripping
Yeah.
viscera was like they were
Yeah.
like, come on, man. It's
But
like,
it's
oh,
so
okay.
fun. There is something about like fantasy violence, fantasy gore that like I don't actually enjoy like really gory movies.
Yeah, me
Um,
neither.
but but there is something fun in the like description of it when it's in my mind.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit cheesy is not the right word, but like it's tropey, right?
It's like for me,
Yeah.
you seen John Waters' Serial Mom?
No, I have not.
Okay. If you like John Waters at all,
Okay.
it's a remarkable movie.
Yeah.
Matthew Lillard is in it, and
Sure.
so the serial killing mom is Kathleen Turner, and Matthew Lillard plays her, and he's a big fan of horror movies, right? He and his girlfriend
Yeah.
horror movies, and they're watching like Herschel Gordon Lewis horror movies, which
Yeah.
are just
Yeah.
like there's no story and it's just unbelievable gore. Like
Right.
he did movies called
Right.
The Wizard of Gore and Bucket
Right.
of
Right.
Blood
Right.
and
Right.
I
Right.
Eat Your
Okay.
Skin and stuff like right.
Okay.
And they're just like, yeah, horror movies, yeah, blood, yeah, gore. And then the serial killing mom happens and they see real blood
Right.
and they faint and they're like they
Right.
can't handle the real
Right.
blood, right? They can't
Right.
handle the reality of
Right.
it, right? The way that they approach the gore in the movies
Yeah.
is it's satirical, it's silly, it's over the top, it's spectacle, it's not
Mhm.
real. That
Mhm.
there's no, this isn't celebrating violence, it's paying off like ridiculousness.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then when they see actual
Right.
violence, they're
Right.
just like they're off horror movies for the rest of their
Yeah.
lives.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I've always kind of because obviously there is something inherent in all of us. That
Yeah,
fantasy violence thing is true. I have a 5-year-old, right? Like you're like
sure.
the things he comes up with, and you're like this innocent little child has
Yeah,
no idea.
right.
But it is some foundational truth. I do the television show I'm on has violence in it. The D&D that I create has violence in it. So it's a really interesting, but I am the farthest thing from a violent person
Yeah,
or even enjoying violence and like I don't really like war movies because to me it's like I can't get enjoyment out of the idea of real true violence that harmed
yeah,
people. That's not fun, but yet I really enjoy the like, you slice the demon's arm and the black ichor oozes out and down its long crusty fingernails. Like that's really fun.
dude. When you decapitate the bad guy and his head flies across the room and he looks back at you and wordlessly moves his mouth as he like flies into the corner and rolls away into the shadows.
Yeah. Right. So it's a really interesting dichotomy that I don't quite understand how it works, but I know it when I feel it.
Yeah,
And again, there must be some evolutionary purpose to that
sure.
thing because again, we all have it.
Yeah,
So I'm always get so curious about these things. But going back to Woodcreek, you
yeah,
had a really fascinating episode, unlike or adventure, because we made you go outside.
yeah,
We made you guys run around this
yeah,
incredible old village. You changed
yeah.
locations. You had an actual like Dwarven Forge set. I want to give a lot of credit to Dwarven Forge who helped us, loaned us a bunch of material for it. The
Yeah.
dungeon dudes had a bunch of stuff that we added. Ed and I spent several nights up very late building building this crazy set.
Yeah.
The prop shop New York that made a lot of our other stuff made that enormous dragon head that we could be a dice roller.
So unbelievably gorgeous. I remember when we walked into that room and all of us were like, what I like,
Especially we hadn't done anything like that on the show yet. We had stayed pretty far away from like
yeah.
miniatures. We had that. They made that chess piece with the glowing heart for me.
You put that on and I was like, that heart's important. And then as a character choice,
Yeah.
right? I was like,
Yeah.
get up in the face of that thing and
Yeah.
protect my kids. right?
Amazing.
Which is the
Well, you
dumbest thing, which such a
no
dumb thing to do, but it was so character motivated. It was like,
beautiful.
take me,
Because that was the conversation that we had going into it. Because I said there are some constraints I have to put on you because of who this character is. But
Yeah.
you and I talked about, okay, this witch has done these things.
Yeah.
Why would they have done that?
Yeah.
And can we give you a motivation that felt strong? And you jumped right in and you said, for the kids. I did it for
Yeah.
the children. And
Yeah.
that felt like a strong motivator for you. And that was perfect.
It was really fun when I was coming up with that character. And, I know I'm in this for one episode. We're not going to do a ton of storytelling with me. And I know we're going to play a lot of stuff, but I can't help it. It's fun for me to do the imagining
You
stuff. And
got
like,
to.
one of the things the amount of time I spend choosing a name for a character
Yeah.
is maybe a little silly, but I feel like they have power and importance.
Yeah.
And I called my friend Michelle, who is the witchiest person I know. And I was like, hey, can you help me design? And she also plays D&D. And I was like, can you
Yeah.
help me design a witch character for D&D? And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And so I said, I just kind of want to pull things from astrology, and I want to
Yeah.
pull things from the tarot, and I want to pull things
Yes.
from the parts of the occult that I don't know, that just, give it something, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we went into like, this is the astrological house for like protection.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
the thing for like family and kids. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
And this is the name of, and these are the stars that are
Oh,
in this area.
oh, I love
And so
that.
it was really like, it was a lot of that stuff. And I was like, okay, so
Yeah.
this witch is like incredibly tied to this land and
Yes.
tied to this,
Yes.
and like, and needs to like set this right, and needs to like protect kids. One of the I was not protected as a child,
Mm.
and all these years later, I still pay the price for that.
Mm.
I still hurt, and
Mm.
I still suffer because of it.
Mm.
Protecting kids really, really, really matters to me.
Mm. Mm.
So it was very easy for me to lean into something that I care about and use it to inspire a character. When I
Yeah.
get to make up the character, I can do anything I want, be anyone I want.
Yeah.
I always end up being a character like that, who wants to help, who
Yeah.
wants to protect people,
Yeah.
who I like always end up being some version of a lawful good paladin. Every time in a CRPG, when I try to like play a villain for the sake of playing a villain, I'm like, I just don't
Yeah.
I just don't like it. I'm just like, no, there's no joy in this for me at all. I hate it.
Well, again, I just thank you so much for coming and joining. I think your performance as Eldore is like heartbreaking in the like
Oh
good
my
way.
God.
The like
Oh, thank
at the end
you.
of the movie when everything turns out right and you just want to cry because like everyone's like
Yeah.
in the right place they're supposed to be, and you have this beautiful moment with Anjali, who Vix is you are her patron, and it's this
Yeah.
uniting that journey that she's been on. We had set up this witch character as to have been this very kind of the scapegoat for all of the greed and evil that had been happening in Woodcreek, and they put it on the witch. And to have you come in after they'd kind of learned some of the truth of the lie. And again, we talk about how Tales from Woodcreek is named that way because these are
Yeah.
stories, and not all stories are reliable.
Yeah.
And the idea that there was this tale about this curse from a witch, which was not the truth, and to sort of have you represent truth and have truth be what I think is the ultimate goal that we can all agree on, which is to protect our children and to foster a world in which they can be supported and do good things.
It's such a the the story that like the story of a group of powerful, selfish,
Mm.
deceitful people creating the myth for themselves that they're the good guys,
Yeah.
while they scapegoat someone who genuinely was one of the
Yeah.
good guys.
Yeah.
Right. It accomplishes, as you can imagine, I've studied a lot about fascism in the last several years. And one of the something like that accomplishes two purposes. It rewrites the history
Yeah.
and it takes a genuine hero and recategorizes them so
Yes.
that the villains can build themselves up. I
Yes.
really liked the idea of being in a story where that house of cards is kicked over
Yeah. Yeah.
and the you know and things are set
Yeah.
right
And
again.
it was important to us too that it be their descendants, that this is
Yeah.
family, but that doesn't mean
Yes.
that you are what they are, and you
Yeah.
can still, turn things in a more positive and supportive and open direction. Um, that that there could be some glee for our players
Yeah.
in like destroying their grandfather's bones.
Yeah. Totally.
Their grandfather happened to be a, horrible, greedy son of a. So yeah, so it was fun to have you for that finale and
Thank
have
you.
the sort of end of our sort of tale be told, the hopefully the true tale of Woodcreek. And yeah, and such
Dude,
a joy to talk with you today.
it was such a privilege to be part of this. Like I had such a good time
Good.
and you had such a great crew.
Great group of
Like just
people.
an incredible group of
I know.
people. You feel like, oh, you all got the memo about what's going on here. Like
Yeah.
that was super rad. And I'd played with Anjali before. We both played in
Yeah.
Todd Stashwick's game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I saw her on set, I was like, what? And we had so much fun playing together. She
I
invited me to come guest on
love it.
20 Sided Tavern
I
like two
love
weeks
it.
ago.
Yeah.
And I had the time of my life.
We're a great group of
Um,
people, man. And I just hope that
yeah,
we all continue to give each other opportunities to do this and support each
yeah,
other when we get to. And,
yeah, for
we
sure.
hope to do a second season of Woodcreek. This is this weird new experimental D&D thing that we tried
Yeah.
and people seem to like it. So we're going to try to do some more and try to really flip the script again and do some new stuff. So we're
It's
excited.
one of the things I've been in that there's a few things that I'm part of where people who have never made an effort to get
Mm,
in touch with me to tell me they liked something.
mm.
I hear from a lot of
Oh,
people
good.
who like are like, wow, I really loved this,
Oh,
and they
yay.
and they highlight that wonderful blending of physical challenges and
Yeah.
RPG based storytelling that you put together.
Yeah.
It really is a privilege and a pleasure to be part of it. I feel like a couple of years from now, it's going to be another one of those things where I get to say, I was there.
First one.
Like
Yeah.
I was in there. I got to help. So
Amazing.
yeah,
Well, thank you
thanks.
so much, Will. We'll let you
Yeah.
go. Appreciate you.
Okay.
And everybody at home, please stay tuned to this space for more information about hopefully a season two. I think we might be doing a Kickstarter and hopefully we'll get to do some more Wood Creek down the line. So thank you all. Thank you all. Have a good one. Bye.